Good morning. Today is Thursday, January 9th, 2025. Today is a United States federal holiday. It doesn't happen every year, but the president has the authority to declare, I guess, as needed federal holidays. And it's customary for a federal holiday to be declared when a former president dies. So the holiday today is a National Day of Mourning for former President Jimmy Carter. And this morning, as I'm reflecting on this, I realized that I don't really know a whole lot about former President Jimmy Carter. The things that I do know, he's from Georgia. The news continues to say that he was a peanut farmer. And also the coverage that I know about Jimmy Carter over the years is that he spent a lot of his time after his presidency in nonprofit work. Particularly what I know or remember is his work with Habitat for Humanity. There's the pictures of him, with a tool belt and a hammer, and he's putting up some, he's hammering some nails into some framing of a house that Habitat for Humanity is building. So that's about all I know. I know he only served one term. I know that the president administration after Jimmy Carter was very well known. That's the Ronald Reagan administration. He served 2 terms. Lots and lots of people who are conservative consider Ronald Reagan a very, I was going to say Messiah-like figure within the Republican Party. But that's starting to more and more seem like it's not the case because of the movement in the direction the Republican Party is taking right now. But anyway, that's a different story. I don't know why I said that, but back to Jimmy Carter. He had a 1-term presidency. That's all I know about him himself. His administration, I have no clue. I think that there was some rumors going around, rumors, I don't know, like just unverified statements saying that he was trying to push through the metric system. I don't know if that's true or not. I wish that would have happened. The metric system makes so much more sense than imperial. Multiples of 10 makes sense. Celsius, freezing is 0, boiling is 100, pretty easy. And then also it's consistent with the rest of the world and also science. So anyway, but I don't know if that's what he tried. He failed on that. Obviously, we still use the imperial system here in the United States, Fahrenheit, and imperial units for, standard everyday measurements. My speedometer in my car measures in miles per hour, miles per gallon, and if I watch the news, they tell the weather with Fahrenheit. But it's fine. That's about all I knew about him. He was a president in the 70s. He was president before I was born. Nothing else. I really don't know anything else about him. So I thought I would research a little bit about who he was. I went to one of my favorite apps right now, Perplexity. I have a pro subscription that I was able to pick up through my cable company, and I have it for free. So, I thought, why not use it? I was paying for the pro subscription for ChatGPT, which I'm actually kind of considering going back to it because it has that 401, which does like reasoning, and then it also has the Nora videos. I kind of want to mess around with that. It is $20 a month, but anyway, Perplexity's fine. I popped it into Perplexity, and what I like about Perplexity is it uses and it has access to all these different large language models, including ChatGPT 4o. What's the other ones? Anthropic. Perplexity has developed its own, and I think it uses the X one, which I don't use at all. But those are the ones that I know that it has now. And what's cool is when you search for something, when you ask it questions, it uses the large language models to develop its answer, but it also will search the web and will provide you with context and links so that you can go and, verify what's going on if you need to. So yeah, that's what I used. And I asked it about President Jimmy Carter. And what it's telling me is that Jimmy Carter, he was the 39th president from 1977 to 1981. left a complex legacy marked with significant achievements, challenges, and a post-presidency career that redefined the role of former presidents. Which, by the way, I just thought about George W. Bush, who I am very well aware of. Like, he was president in my college years, two-term president, 9/11 president. He doesn't really have a post-president legacy. He's a painter, as far as I know, and I'm going off on a tangent, but I just thought about this. He hasn't said, as far as I know, anything about the Republican Party as it is today and its move towards being the MAGA party. I don't know exactly what the deal is with that. But anyway, Carter has a post-presidency legacy. What he's, I guess, considered to be successful in, or the things that were considered a success for President Jimmy Carter, were a couple things that the app points out. The Camp David Accords in 1978, a peace agreement between Egypt and Israel, ending decades of conflict between the two nations. So that's big. Negotiated treaties to return control of the Panama Canal to Panama, improving U.S.-Latin American relations. That's going the other way now, it feels like. Relations between the U.S. and Latin America are not great. And the current incoming administration seems to be ready to just blow some things up. So, as far as relationships, metaphorically, along with Canada and Denmark. So that's fun. Carter prioritized human rights in foreign policy, challenging authoritarian regimes and setting a precedent for future administrations. I don't know how he did that. I don't know what authoritarian regimes he challenged, but that's what it says here. I'll probably look that up later. He normalized diplomatic relations with China and pursued arms limitation talks with the Soviet Union, which was in the parentheses it says SALT II. So there was something that happened there between China and then arms limitations between us and the Soviet Union, coming off of the continuing in the Cold War at the time. Challenges he faced were high inflation, unemployment, stagflation, the Iran hostage crisis, Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, and these were all some things that took place during his administration that were events and items and topics and I said events already, but things that hindered his and ultimately prevented him from being reelected. And Ronald Reagan was quite the force, apparently. Yeah, that's kind of what I found here. One thing that I found interesting was his in his presidency, when he was newly inaugurated, he pardoned Vietnam War draft evaders on the second day in office, which was very controversial. He had an emphasis on energy conservation. This was unpopular, and it could because it required sacrifices from Americans, and they didn't like that. They didn't like to sacrifice for apparently the greater good, or what everybody thought was the greater good. So anyway, interesting. I mean, it seems like he had a good legacy. It seems like he was a very good man. Of course, politicians are politicians, but he seemed to be a politician that was, I don't know, pretty selfless, I guess. And that went through in his out of the office time, like when he was not a president. Building houses, like that seems like a pretty good thing. I don't know of any quotes from him. I'm sure they're out there. But anyway, rest in peace, President Jimmy Carter. And I really hope that we have more leaders in the United States that can take a page from your book. Because right now, it is pretty sad to see, just kind of the landscape that we have politically. And it does seem like we really don't care a whole lot about character and what happens outside of your professional role, your political role. So anyway, that's my little 2 cents. But anyway, have a good day.